All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99. I am back with another breakdown prediction for the co-main event for UFC 281. Strawweight champion Carla Esparza versus Zhang Weili. Now, I done my picks for the other WMMA fights, and I left y'all hanging last night with the live stream, but y'all got me sidetracked and got me thinking about other things as far as the discussion, and we just kept on going. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna drop this breakdown prediction separately. Anyways, so nobody has to scrub through anyway. So, I usually do it like this anyway. So here y'all go. Carla Esparza versus Zhang Weili. First off, I got to say, look, this is going to be a good fight, y'all. I think that it has the potential to be competitive if Carla Esparza really has improved in all the places that I think she has, and she's going to go in there and really execute what she can do. Or if Carla just kind of has a relapse to some of the kryptonite that she's faced in the past, Zhang Weili could go in there and dominate. She could go in there and just, use her overall physical strength and, control Carla. But like I said, Carla, she has been improving as a fighter. To some people, they haven't really been seeing it, but I think she's been doing it in the right places against somebody like Zhang Weili, that these certain things that she can do, they could throw Zhang Weili off her game. So let's look at Zhang Weili first, since she's the challenger here. Zhang Weili, she's actually 1-2 in her last 3 fights. She's had 2 rough fights with Rose Namajunas. She bounced back against Joanna, got a second round finish over Joanna. Brutal way to stop her. I mean, she went in there and just ragdolled her, from the jump, and she was landing hard punches on Joanna in that fight, really showing the next level that we wanted to see. The right improvements, worked on her grappling, worked on the wrestling, and really put it together in that type of fight where she was getting the takedown and just handling a strong, tall, long fighter like Joanna. So going into this fight here, I think that Zhang Weili, they've been working on the right things to counter the wrestling of somebody like Carla Esparza. She's mixing it in with her boxing, her kickboxing as well, her Sanda. She's been putting all of that together, becoming more so explosive, but being able to be alert to the takedowns that Carla Esparza presents, those type of threats as far as her wrestling. I've always thought Zhang Weili naturally had that ability, like when she fought fighters like Tisha Torres, but now I think she's really getting the fundamentals down, as she works with Henry Cejudo and some of his other teammates that, she's been bringing over in this training camp. But going into a fight with Carla Esparza, who I know is a small strawweight, there's still a few keys to victory that I need to see Zhang Weili do in this fight to avoid being controlled on the ground. I'd say number one is set traps. And by set traps, I mean for Zhang Weili, she needs to use a lot of those little feints in mid-range with Carla Esparza. Use those little feints to get Carla confused as far as to think she's going to swing like wild overhand rights or swing just like wild left hooks, to where Carla will kind of dip up under, and that'll open up Carla's chin, and then she could land knees or head kicks, or even like good slick uppercuts right up the middle whenever Carla tries to dip in and change a level. And you just want to set those little traps to kind of get Carla's respect as far as her striking. Set the traps with the striking at times in the first couple of rounds, just to kind of throw Carla off, and you don't telegraph your combinations. You don't want to just telegraph your hands, even though you are the better striker and faster striker. I want to see her set traps with her hands here, just to kind of break Carla down mentally. Because if you can do that to a fighter like Carla, you can easily break her will. That's how you have to break her will. Once you give her no way of entry, that'll keep her on the outside, and at that point you can really start to let go, and that'll kind of make her want to just go out of the fight. So use those little feints, use her speed as far as setting up the counter punches and even the counter kicks, and just really get the respect of Carla Esparza. No room, and by no room I mean don't give Carla any space to measure her range or any room to work. I need to see Zhang Weili initiate clinches first and take Carla Esparza off of her feet, and really press her to the cage and just rough her up on the inside. I want to see her get that head control on Carla, take her off of her feet, and keep her feet just really off balance from trying to get in any position to take her down or even counter wrestle her and reverse her to the cage. Just get those underhooks and really press her to the cage, shoulder bumper, knee her to the body, put a lot of that physicality that she has on her, and just really give her no space to work. Because the minute Carla gets that range, she can she can circle you all night. You know, she'll circle you all night till she finds that perfect takedown. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, okay, yeah, like Carla doesn't really have good takedowns or takedown accuracy. Well, when she gets the takedowns, she doesn't need any more. And on top of that, she keeps trying and trying and trying. Like, you go back and look at her fight, she's constantly shooting in for takedown attempts. That's why the percentage is so low, because she's constantly trying. But when she gets those 1 or 2 in rounds, she's good to go. And that's off of that range that she's really measuring off on her opponents. You know, in the past, like she even did with Alexa Grasso, or even Yan Zhana, you know, you give her that space. So I need to see Zhang Weili just cut off the octagon and don't give her any space. Just keep her guessing on which way she's going to come in, and just put that pressure where she can't stutter step, and, you know, just shoot in and take you down, or, you know, just shoot in and grab you by the ankle. But another thing about Zhang Weili, I think she's got good balance. So if she just tries to shoot in for the ankle or get a single leg, you know, Zhang Weili has that ability to even like skip to the fence or hop to the fence, or, you know, just with the power she has in her legs, I think she can really just reject a lot of those single legs. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't want to see her give her any room to create that range, you know, where she'll be in the chest or she'll be way out of range. Next, speed kills. And by that, I mean, hey, use the combinations. You know, she's got to use combinations. Step in every now and then, you know, with those right hands to really get that respect. Whenever you see Carla even try to throw her own kicks, be first with the right hand, but follow up with a couple of good shots upstairs, you know, more than one, and land those leg kicks. You know, when you step into that range with Carla, start landing those leg kicks. Not too high, because that's where she can grab her and take her down, but just use those speedy kicks and just use that speed all around to her advantage, as far as just, you know, how she steps in and going back up to feints. Because what Carla doesn't see is what's really going to hurt her. And again, it's going to go back to setting traps. It's going to do the same thing as far as get the respect and even kind of break her concentration out of the whole fight. Last but not least, I'll say show the strength. You know, you got Zhang Weili out here picking up Francis Ngannou. Hey, go in here, take Carla off of her feet a few times whenever you can. Even if you press her to the cage, hey, I want to see her pick her up on the shoulder or pick her up with, you know, the double leg. Hey, don't fall completely into the wrestling game of Carla Esparza, but take her off of her feet a few times and get takedowns. You know, even if you get it for like just 30 seconds or a minute, you got to get big slams on Carla. Show that strength. You know, if you got it, go in there and show it. That's what Jessica Andrade does to really get to her opponents and get that crowd going and get the judges on your side. Show the strength. Pick her up, ragdoll her, Tatiana Suarez, or do whatever you got to do in there to really take her out of her game. You know, because when she starts facing stronger wrestlers, that really puts a lot of her game plan out the door. All right. So yeah, I'll say set traps, give Carla no room to work, speed kills, you know, use that speed, and show the strength. But yeah, going back up to like what I mean with setting traps too, I would like to see more attempts of Weili, you know, going for takedowns, but actually, you know, doing reverse, kind of like reversing her takedowns into punches. You know, sometimes like how she'll drop a level, like she's gonna go in for a takedown, and that'll get Carla ready, like she's gonna, you know, accept it. But as she's accepting it, you know, you come back with the overhand right. Just little things I see like even Khabib do, or other fighters, you just kind of alter it in your head. You know, I want to see her do things like that, where set the trap like it's going to be a wrestling match, but then come over the top with the overhand right. You know, just a lot of things that kind of throw the wrestler off here, especially when you have good hands like Zhang Weili. All right, looking at Carla Esparza. Carla, I went back and watched a lot of her fights. You know, going back to, you know, even Joanna, you could really see like she really had a lack of physical strength back then, you know, but now she kind of understands that, you know what, I'm 5'1", I'm one of the smallest strawweights in the game. I have got to make up for this. I've got to add on more muscle. I've got to get a little jacked. I've got to get stronger. You know, she's taking a page out of Andrade, but you know, you have to make do with what you have. If you're this small, you got to make your presence known with physical strength, with mauling. You know, you got to go in there and be a dog. And, you know, I think that throughout the 8 years since she's won the belt, she slowly but gradually worked on that. You know, even in that Claudia Gadelha fight, I thought she won that. She had good hands in that and good takedowns in that fight too as well. So, you know, I think over the years, she's definitely worked on that. And she's been able to get victories, not in dominant fashion because she's still too small and doesn't have the power of Andrade, but she's been able to make do with what she has. And I think if she's improved, like I said, she should be able to go in here and get a victory over Zhang Weili. She should be able to do that. She does have those tools. But what she's going to have to do, to me, number one, is show patience. You know, she's got the style already, and she's got the reputation at this point to kind of draw the fight out. You know, so a few more boos is not going to hurt her. So, you know, she needs to be patient in this fight and just take her time. You know, get Weili out of her game. If Weili starts to want to make the fight exciting, that's when you step completely out of range and just kind of throw her off. Look for your moments to get the takedown, but don't give her time to land any type of points. You know, don't let her figure you out like from the jump that you want to just go straight in and wrestle. You know, take your time from the outside every now and then. Be patient, step in with the right hand, because, you know, the right hand of Carla Esparza is effective. You know, you want to step in with that right hand every now and then, you know, initiate a takedown and try to wrestle her down to the ground. But do all of this in a patient amount of time, you know, like the first 2 rounds, just to kind of throw Weili off her game and just be fighting at your comfortable pace that you're used to, like she's done in the past. Know her range. Knowing her range in this fight is very important. You know, this is going to be a big part here, because with Weili working on her wrestling and her grappling, she's going to want to use it in this fight. She's already stated that. You know, she's wanting to go in there and destroy Carla. You know, she wants to destroy Carla with that level if it comes. You know, she can use her strength. So Carla really has to be smart here and know when to step in and get those takedowns and know how to make Weili reset from that distance. So knowing her range in this fight is going to be very important, even to set up her punches and time the speed of Zhang Weili. You know, I've always felt that's one of her strongest points, you know, knowing how to eyeball her opponents and how to step in and know when to step out. But it's going to be really critical in this fight. Next, third, I know a lot of people probably haven't really thought of this, but I would say dirty boxing is going to be important here. Dirty boxing is going to be a necessity for her, because she's going to have to pile up points. And to do that, when she steps into the pocket with Zhang Weili, she's going to have to be first with that right hand. And if she misses it, Zhang Weili is probably going to try to grab hold of her to try to ragdoll her. So no, she has to initiate that clinch first, land elbows on the inside, hold that head, land little uppercuts, break with elbows to reset and create space to go right back to where you were. And use that dirty boxing just to escape. You know what I mean? Escape the strength at times. You know, if you're in the cage, you got to start hitting to the body, landing those elbows on the inside, landing those little right hands and left hand, those little combinations on the inside, like DC did with Stipe at times. You know, when you step in like that, start landing those hard shots just to start doing damage up by the eyes and the nose to give your opponent, you know, vision problems and breathing problems. That's what you got to do. You know, go in there and land those little dirty shots, because the boxing range I give to Zhang Weili, but Carla can be effective with dirty boxing if she just adjusts to it and gives something Zhang Weili that she doesn't expect. Okay. Last but not least, total control on the ground. Carla's getting stronger here, but her thing has to be total control on the ground. When she gets this fight on the ground, she has to do everything in her power to keep top position in this fight. Now, we've seen Zhang Weili on her back in the past. I know Rose is a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and her jiu-jitsu's gotten better, but she was able to control Zhang Weili on the ground in those last 2 rounds, you know. So if it comes to that, if the fight starts to go the distance, you know, you still want to be in complete control and keep Zhang Weili on her back. When you get this fight down to the ground, it's got to be Carla Esparza on top all the way, because the minute Zhang Weili gets the top position and she's in half guard, she's going to be ground and pounding. She's going to be ground and pounding. Judges will give it to her. So Carla's got to get top position. And again, it goes back to the reputation. Even if you got to lay and pray at this point, if people are booing, so be it. You know, take the round on that. If the ref steps, hey, you just got to reset, take top position again, and control on the ground. All right. So with that being said, I think that the first round or so might be a bit cautious on Carla's part. You know, I think Carla will dive in for some takedowns, but when she feels that strength is Zhang Weili, she's going to go in respect mode a little bit and try to find another way to enter. But also, I think that Carla Esparza's hands might be some surprises. I think she might show a few surprises, like as Zhang Weili steps in with her own punches. Carla might set up a right hand or two that might catch Zhang Weili, you know, so that's something you have to look out for. She used it against Lex Grasso. She used it against Yan Xiaonan. She's starting to find that weapon to be effective. And Sarah McMahon said something about that in the past too, like the overhand right for these wrestlers is a strong punch. And like she said, it might be because it's like their shooting hand and the way they launch it, that the way they can bring it down and throw it, it can be one of their most devastating punches, you know. So Carla Esparza might start using that punch in this fight on the inside here to get Zhang Weili's respect. But I think Zhang Weili is a little bit quick, just a little bit too quick for her. And you'll see her land some good calf kicks on Carla when she closes that distance, even press Carla to the cage a few times. And going into that third or fourth round, you're going to see her start picking it up, getting the crowd going wild, taking Carla off of her feet and just mauling her, and possibly taking it to the ground and finishing Carla Esparza by TKO. But that's who I'm going to go with in this fight. I'm going to go with Zhang Weili, either by a late round finish when that strength really starts to pick up in this fight, you know, it really starts to show. I'm going to go with Zhang Weili either by a finish or by a decision in this fight. But I'm really not going to be shocked, like a lot of people, if Carla's going to go in there and control on the ground a few times. Like if Zhang Weili gets on her back in this fight, I will not be surprised, because Carla Esparza has that ability to do that. But if it's anything like I've said in the past, Carla Esparza, her kryptonite is still these bigger, stronger strawweights in there. Like she can still get past a lot of these other ones, you know, but the ones that are just off the charts with their physical strength and their athleticism and how they use it, like Suarez and Joanna, they were like the standouts. You know, they could beat her, they would dominate her. But everybody else in between, they still had some lacking about them, even though Claudia Gadelha did. Claudia, she didn't really win that fight, in my opinion. Cynthia Cabello, Grasso, some of these girls, even Rose, like some of these girls didn't know how to use that strength to their advantage against this wrestler, but or they just didn't have it. But Zhang Weili, I think she fits in that category of Suarez and Joanna. Okay, so it might come down to being a fight like that again, where you see her go in there and ragdoll. But we'll see. We'll see what type of strength Carla's packing. I think it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a lot better than the last Carla fight, right? So, yeah, Zhang Weili, she's going to really make the fight. I think she's going to force that fight because she wants that belt back. And yeah, you know, she's just got that type of, I think these two have that type of style that's really going to clash and be explosive in there. But that's who I'm going to go with in this fight. I'm going to go with Zhang Weili in this one. Let me know who y'all got, guys. And don't be surprised and don't start crying if Carla does pull out a win in this one, because it is that tight. It is that tight, in my opinion. But yeah, let me know, guys. Sorry I kept y'all waiting for this one like I did yesterday. But if y'all missed my picks for the other two WMMA fights, I got Sylvania Gomez Juarez defeating Karolina Kowalkiewicz, possibly by stoppage. I don't know, second round stoppage. Karolina could come from behind and submit her because her ground game is better, in my opinion. Molly McCann versus Erin Blanchfield. I am going with Erin Blanchfield in that fight by decision or possibly submission. Erin's going to have to make sure that defense is tight, though. She's going to have to make sure that defense is tight. She could eat some big shots in this one. But that's what I'm going with in those fights, guys. Let me know in the comment section y'all got for all three of these fights. I'll catch y'all after fight night, probably right after. You know, if it's a good fight, I'll do a post-fight reaction right after, guys.